I've been here forever, man. I can't do another run. I'm so burnt to the Inferno, man. Maybe it's time to download Parsec. Ugh, no way! Are you kidding me? The Inferno, undeniably RuneScape's toughest PVM challenge. You'll have to demonstrate your mastery of movement, NPC mechanics, prayer flicking, and wave solving to overcome this challenge. But the Inferno is beatable, or so I've heard. I honestly haven't done it yet. Most of my other videos are guides to content I already know pretty well, but I'd like to do something a bit different today. In this video, we're going to start learning the Inferno together. I hope that through my honest mistakes and deaths, we can both take away important Inferno concepts like two-tick flicking, corner trapping, and wave solving. And with that, let's jump into the Inferno. Now, if you know me, you'll know I love conserving supplies. The Inferno is just a PVM grind like any other, and grinds take supplies. However, before I start sending actual attempts with a ton of brews and restores, I thought it'd be a good idea to take in some bare minimum supplies to get a feel for some of the monsters what we'll be encountering. So here's the setup that I'm going to be running. I have full crystal with a bow of Faradinin, as well as a toxic blowpipe loaded with amethyst darts. I've got a Rada's Blessing, Ava's Assembler, Devout Boots, and Bear's Gloves as well. For my mage switch, I'm bringing an Arms Top, Ancient Scepter, Crystal Shield, and Occult Amulet. Now, I have debated bringing in Justiciar and a Din's Bulwark, and I've heard that it's more of a crutch, especially during some of those later waves, but I think I am going to actually allocate some of my inventory slots to it early on, just in case I panic during one of the waves and I need a quick defensive option. Finally, I'm filling the rest of my inventory up with Karambwans and a couple prayer potions. I really don't expect to make it past wave 15 to 20 within my first few attempts, so let's just go ahead and send it. So I'm on wave 4 here, and I can see that I've made my first big mistake. Can you tell what it is? I learned the hard way that the bloblets that spawn after killing a blob hit really hard, especially the mage one. It's important to try and kill the blobs on the western side of the pillar because they stack up really nicely and only the ranging blob can hit you from there. Here you can see all 3 blobs hitting me and forcing me to turn around and run around the pillar frantically, which is not what we want. My second mistake should be pretty obvious, but I left nibblers alive. Focusing on killing these things ASAP in the early waves means that I don't have to worry about the pillar health so much in the later waves when I can't chase nibblers as easily. There should be no reason why nibblers aren't dead on a single blob wave. So in this next clip, you can see I did a much better job of positioning the blob, but I kept trying to mage the mage bloblet. Just switch to the blowpipe and take them down, it's faster and easier. Also, nibs are still alive again in this clip. In my first run, I struggled with how to trap the melees when they dig to you. You can see in this clip, I just panic run around the whole pillar trying to trap it. Eventually I have to just flick it, which isn't a problem here, but I know in the later waves, it is extremely important to have a plan for when the melees dig. You may have other monsters trapped, but if you don't have a plan of action for when those melees dig to you, then you're either tanking 40 plus damage or panic running into a mob of monsters. Both of those things you don't want. For reference, I could have just moved here and corner trapped the melee to save some prayer and run energy. So this clip is from my second run. I ended up doing worse and only making it to wave 21. Here is a particularly brutal mistake where I get trapped in between a melee and a blob. You can't flick against both, and I usually can't even flick against one. I should have just stayed on the west side of the pillar because the blob was already stuck, and I could have just quickly killed the bats with the bofa while praying melee. Or better yet, I could have brought the melee in close, quarter trapped him, and then handled the blob. Lots of options here, and I ended up sort of just panicking. So this is a clip of my 6th run or so, and I just make some bad choices chasing nibblers on wave 13. First I chance a hit by a melee while chasing the nibblers to the south pillar. And then I think to myself, well, since I'm down here, I might as well stay at this pillar, so I move up the side to trap the melee, so I can take on the blob and bats, but I miss my blowpipe switch, so I'm just standing there ice barraging the bat. Then the melee digs to me, I didn't have a plan, I tank a blob hit for a 14 to decide to finish off the nibblers. Unfortunately, I can't attack the nibblers from that corner, so it drags me out into line of sight of the blob, which I wasn't ready for, who hits me for a 27. Finally, I have the wave under control, I've got the meleeer trapped, I've got the blob trapped, but it cost me 80 hit points in the process. So don't be like me and do this wave like this. I ended up dying to wave 28 on my 6th run. This is mostly due to the fact that I was uncomfortable flicking between a ranger and a meleeer. Because of this, I opted to move to the north side of the pillar, where I once again became trapped between the blob and the meleeer. I never learned, do I? A better solution, which would have avoided flicking between a meleeer and a ranger, would have been to corner trap the meleeer and handle the blob 1v1. Then I would have had no problems taking down that meleeer, and then followed by the ranger. In my 7th attempt, I get significantly better at handling the blobs in the early waves. I hardly make any mistakes, as evidenced by my massive supply of food, until wave 24. Here, double blobs and the ranger hit me pretty hard. It's clearly a place where I need to 1 or 2 tick alternate to survive, and that's a skill I really haven't mastered yet. Unfortunately, this beautiful run is cut short at wave 26 as I die to missing 3 flicks of a single ranger. Absolutely no excuse, it's just plain lazy. If you aren't confident about flicking, expend the prayer points. I could have easily pushed to wave 40 plus in this run had I not made that stupid mistake. It's clearly time to learn proper 1 and 2 tick alternating. The idea here is to alternate your prayers to avoid damage. It really comes into play on higher waves where you face a blob, ranger, and major, or any combination of the 3. You can either alternate prayers every tick, colloquially known as 1 ticking, or alternate every 2 ticks, 2 ticking. Based on the previous clip, it's pretty clear I'm not qualified to be teaching either of these methods, but there's quite a few other guides out there on this, and I can safely recommend either Charles's guide or the Hug My Cat guide. Eventually, we managed to get 2 ticking down, at least against this single blob. Let's see if we can put it to the test in the higher waves. With my newfound powers of 2 tick alternating, I can effortlessly handle solves with blob and ranger stacks. Check out this clip that makes me look like an Inferno pro. Mastering skills like this can really help conserve supplies for the later waves as well. Now, wave 31 was a particularly tough one for me. It consists of 2 blobs, a meleeer, and a ranger. Right from the spawn, I was plagued by the ranger and the blob, and 1 or 2 tick alternating should work at mitigating the damage here, but truthfully, it's a totally different beast when the monsters are attacking you versus when you actually step out from behind the pillar to attack them. Feels like in the latter situation, you have a lot more control over when the monsters see you and your prayer, not the other way around. Because of this, I panicked and ran to the southern pillar. I took a fair bit of damage moving pillars, and the melee dig did catch me by surprise, but I managed to handle the rest of the wave with relative ease. Smooth sailing through the next couple of waves at least. Enter the mage. This guy hits hard and accurately, and can respawn dead monsters from the wave at half health. Just when you think you've solved a wave, a major can turn it upside down on you by respawning a monster that can force you into a really tricky position. At this point in the run, I was running dangerously low on food and prayer, and I knew I wasn't going to last much longer. I ended up making it to wave 45 before I messed up some 2 tick flicks and got killed by a blob major combo. Overall, I'm still really happy with the progress after only 8 attempts at the Inferno using Karambwans and prayer potions. Who knows, maybe in the next video we'll make it to the higher waves. Stick around and find out.